Hello, welcome to Soulprint. Thank you very, very much for being here. Today, I'm going to do a reading on Trump and the Trump campaign, excuse me, in September. I'm sort of channeling this. I'm not using my cards for this. If you didn't, for whatever reason, happen to see the video that was put out yesterday, I was looking at the Harris campaign in September. So, without further chit chat, let's just move ahead here. All right, so Spirit, what can you tell me about the Trump campaign as we go forward through the month of September? You know, it's such an interesting thing. You walk into, or I step into the energy of the Harris campaign, and it is fun, it is joyful. People are very focused, they're working really hard. There's a really sense of camaraderie. Everybody is like in it together. And then you step into the Trump energy, and it is like there is so much anger, and there was so much rage, and there is so much pointing fingers and people blaming other people. And just the twisting of just the most basic facts that don't even need to be lied about or twisted. It feels very much like the people around Trump are going to have a very, very hard time this month, kind of containing and controlling him. Um, as the numbers continue to not look good, and what they're showing me for Trump is not so much even. I mean, he's going to lose some support along the way, but it's not really even so much he's going to start losing support in a huge number. It's going to be like he stagnates, and the numbers just don't grow. Well, the numbers don't grow because that's it. That's all the support he has. He has done nothing to try to build his um his base, because either he thinks that his base is bigger than it is, or he thinks he's just going to cheat his way back into the White House. I'm not quite sure which at this point, but it doesn't matter, because his campaign feels very much like it's just stagnating. um and that's where you're going to get some volatility. Again, I'm not seeing him out and about a lot over the course of September. It really does feel like he is, um, like one or two events like a week kind of thing. And you're going to see that oh my God, like really slow energy. Um, in some ways, it's sort of a little bit of karma coming back, um, for continually, who was that? Marco Rubio, that he referred to as low energy, or was it Bush? Somebody was low energy, whoever. Um, and it very much feels like he's getting a taste of that himself right now. But low energy, lack of focus, not being able to complete thoughts and sentences. And so, in some ways, they're really going to try to sort of keep him out of public view. There's going to continue to be some, I don't want to say controversy, but it feels like there's going to be more information coming out about whatever it was that happened in Butler. And it's not going to um, help. I guess, like, I'll just put it that way. It's not going to help. I have to say, though, one of the things that I found really, really interesting about what happened in Butler, and I know that there's all these different theories around, and some people say there was a shot, but it wasn't him, and there was, a slap, and the blood went flying that was in a bag. Like, I get that there's all of these other stories and thoughts and going on, and but what struck me almost from the very beginning was, as soon as they announced that they had the shooter and they knew who it was, and in fact the shooter was dead, almost immediately they talked about the fact that the shooter was a Republican. Now, maybe I'm just getting old and maybe I don't remember, but I don't ever remember an incident like that where so quickly off the get go they were being very, very clear about the religion or the political leanings or biases of a shooter. It was very I mean, how did they even find that out? Not to mention the fact that, um, from what I understood, he didn't have like a really big sort of media footprint. There was nothing on the media kind of telling him what it was, or talking about what his ideas or his thoughts were. There was like no manifesto. He was looking at Biden stuff too at that point because Biden was running. You know what I mean? So that was very interesting to me. But it feels like there's going to be something else that comes out about that. This thing with Arlington is going to um, haunt him. All right. And whether that is, I know that there are some ads out on, social media already that are really slamming him. But it's not going to die away very quickly, I think is what I'm trying to say. It's going to keep on getting brought up. Um, and, the campaign, the latest thing that the Trump campaign is doing is they're trying to say, well, Kamala and Tim were invited to attend this ceremony, but they chose not to. Well, first of all, they weren't invited, and secondly, that has nothing to do with the fact that you were in Section 60 and you were taking photographs, and those photographs and videos were being used eh, in a political way. But they can't defend that. So now they're going to start attacking, and that's just going to go nowhere, right? Because people are going to be like, first of all, it wasn't a ceremony. And apparently, any previous president is more than entitled to go there and lay a wreath at the request of the family or whatever. But trying to drag them in and say, well, they were invited and they didn't show up. It's just ridiculous. It's again, that kind of shell game that they play where we're just going to keep moving the goalpost and we're going to keep throwing out stuff. So maybe that it will distract from the thing that we screwed up with. But for whatever reason, it really doesn't feel like that is going to go away very quickly. It feels very much like it's going to be used for, um, sort of campaign ads or whatever against him. So whatever he thought he was accomplishing, it blew up in his face. And there's going to be other things apparently that blow up in his face throughout the month of September. So you have um, a low energy. He's not going to be around a lot. So, and in some ways, that's almost going to make it worse because you're not seeing him day after day after day. When there's spaces and gaps, and then you're watching him, um, and those cognitive skills are really decreasing. Somehow it just becomes more normal, right? Or sort of more noticeable. When you see it every day after day after day, it kind of blurs into normalcy. And even though there's some part of your brain that's going, Jesus, that's not right. Um, it just it blurs a little bit. Whereas the more he stays away and then bounces back, the more obvious it's going to be that there is definitely some deterioration going on in there. There's also going to be a real sort of amping up. I think they call it like narcissistic injury, where a narcissist keeps sort of basically getting um, attacked, right? And that they can't handle it. And there's sort of this sort of implosion and that goes on, and that's going to become more and more prevalent. They're going to try to, they've got Vance out there. He's not going to add anything. He's not going to do anything for the campaign. He is not going to, what I'm being told right now is he will stay on the ticket with Trump until the election. The question, however, remains is whether Trump is actually going to be around for the election, and that's all they're telling me. And so it feels like there is something going on there, but it feels almost like the energies have not settled enough so that I can read them, so I can see them clearly. Um, John Jr., there's going to be some more, um, videos of him coming out where he really does not look lucid or sober. And it just doesn't help. Okay, so what you're going to see in September with the Trump campaign really feels like a lot of things that are going on that simply aren't helping. So you've got kind of this, he's maxed out his support. It's not going to continue to increase, it's going to stabilize or stagnate. And then you have surrogates of whatever kind out there, and they're going to be sticking their foot into it. They're going to be getting called on for their lies and their misstatements. I don't know if any of you saw one day last week. Lewandowski was on Ari Melbourne, Ari Melbourne, and um, Lewandowski was trying to say that this was something that um, Melbourne had said, and he kept trying to say it, and finally Melbourne looked at him and said, that is not what I said. You are purposely misquoting something, and if you say it again, you are going to be looking at getting sued for defamation. Like he said that to the right. So you're going to see more of that kind of pushback going on, where people are going to be like, you know what, we've kind of had it. There's going to be enough misinformation flying around on Fox and the other right wings. And it's not like any of the mainstream media is going to, have an epiphany and figure out what the heck they're doing and stay on track. But you are going to see more of this sort of pushing back going on, just because, like I say, there it just feels like there's going to be things that are getting said by the Trump campaign, by Trump surrogates, by other Republicans running across the country that are going to be really off color, and they're going to be getting called on that, which I'm pretty sure got mentioned in yesterday's video with regards to the Harris campaign, that was going to be something that the Trump campaign would be doing. You're also going to see, it looks like in September in particular, because there's going to be additional legal issues coming up for Trump. Um, and there's going to be, because of that, there's going to be more and more lawyers' bills. There's going to be a shortage of funds in the campaign for other campaigns. I mean, Lord Trump has already said anything you give, it's going straight to Trump. It's not going anywhere else because we need him back in office. And so you're going to see all of the down ballot campaigns struggling because they're not having the money. They don't have what they need to really get out there and push back, particularly because some of those down ballot campaigns are really, really being challenged by Democrats. So, overall, for the month of September, for Trump and the Republicans, it very much feels like it's going to be a month of not really being able to move forward. It feels like, one step forward, two step back. And so they're not getting anywhere. It doesn't feel like they're making a lot of headway. There again are going to continue to be polls that have Harris and Trump close. And again, there's going to be that conversation about, I don't understand how come his numbers are so good and hers aren't good enough. Um, and again, the polls aren't accurate because the polls are not an accurate reflection of voters. And in fact, part of the reason that the numbers look good is because there's a higher number of people who are answering those polls who tend to be um, more Republican leaning. Okay, is there going to be any significant health, physical, or I guess mental health concerns for Trump in the month of September. He's going to be experiencing a lot of external stress. Okay. So he's going to be hearing things, seeing things, numbers aren't going to look good, whatever it is, lawyer bills come due, court dates, whatever all is going on. It's external, and the stress is pushing in on him. And what it's doing is it's going to really, really create some high anxiety, some high sort of blood pressure, headaches. Um, I don't think I'm the only one who's ever ruled out some sort of a medical emergency with him. Um, and again, we are not looking for this to happen. It just seems to be that there seems to be a fair bit of that kind of energy around him. The more he comes to realize that this isn't a win for him. This is not, never mind a sure bet, but maybe not even a kind of bet. The more and more he comes to understand that the campaign is not doing well, and frankly, he's not doing well, the more you're going to see this sort of acting out and surrogate saying ridiculous things, and he himself saying ridiculous things. Um, So it feels overall like it's going to be a far better month for the Harris campaign than the Trump campaign. The Trump campaign really looks like it's going to be suffering in September. But they are telling me that there's a couple of things up their sleeves um, for a October surprise. But what they said is that there's going to be a few surprises coming their way too. So they might want to be mindful about what goes around comes around. All right. That's what I know about that. Okay, so questions at the in the comment section below for Pendulum Friday. For anybody who is looking for private readings, if you go into that information box below, there is an email address that is soulprint888@gmail.com. And it will, just send me out a email to that email address saying, I'm looking for reading information, and I will send you back what you need to know. I'm actually currently booking in the last kind of last week and a half of September. So there's not a long wait, and that is very typical. The powers that be always manage to make sure that people who are looking for my readings are able to get them in a timely manner. Thank you very, very much for being here. I will see you. Take care. Bye bye.